Therefore, today is the feast day of all who bear their name. They begin with the patriarchs who foretold the coming of Christ, beginning with Adam, the first father, Enoch, Melchizedek, Abraham, the friend of God, Isaac, the fruit of the promise, Jacob, Jacob. And the 12 patriarchs, we are also commemorating those who lived under the law. Moses, Aaron, Joshua, Samuel. All of you have these names. This is your feast day. David. The prophets Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and the minor prophets Elijah, Elisha, Zechariah, and John the Baptist, the last of the Old Covenant prophets. And finally, the Holy Virgin, the intermediary, who we call the mediatrix, the ladder between mankind and the divine Son of God. You know, when I do one of the first services, when I come to the church when no one is yet here, called the proskomidi, the first hymn that is prayed is this, which is why the icon of the birth of Christ is always at the place where the gifts are prayed and offered for, because that's where it begins. Here is the hymn. Make ready, O Bethlehem, for Eden has been opened for all. What's Eden? In Genesis, where the creation of the world began. Prepare, O Ephrathah, for the tree of life. Who is the tree? What is the tree of life? Has blossomed forth in the cave from the virgin. For her womb did appear as a spiritual paradise, in which is planted the divine plant, whereof eating we shall live. Eating. We shall live. Eating what? Him, his body and blood. And not die as Adam. Christ shall be born, raising the image that fell of old. So you see, all of this sounds beautiful. All of this has beautiful imagery. All of it can be depicted in form and color in elegant iconography. But unless we grasp the connection we have with our forefathers and understand that we are the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that we are the descendants of that divine heritage of the people of God, and we are the new Israel, then we won't get it. Christians tend to dismiss these individuals as irrelevant, pre-Christian Hebrews, while in fact they comprise a very important part of our heritage, all who lived in a manner that was totally dependent upon knowing God, who is our source and creator. And these men and women who we see included in the iconography of the church, we see it below the Pantocrator in the dome. We see them who the Lord raised from Hades when he descended after the resurrection. They are part and parcel of our history. They are the chosen of God, and the parable today graphically illustrates that all of us can be considered chosen depending upon our response. So today's lesson, God, the creator of all, is the host of what is described as a banquet. And you and I are chosen as being invited. And being a part of this banquet symbolizes our membership in God's kingdom. And very important to that relationship with God is that we live our lives with free choices, just as we hear described in the parable of those who respond and those who ignore the invitation, and those who come up with excuses. So the lesson describes in stages how room is afforded for everyone who responds positively, but not for those who have excuses. And the parable makes clear that God does not discriminate by his choice, nor does he favor a particular people over others, but has chosen all for a relationship with a purpose. And it ends saying, all who have ears to hear, and more importantly, are really listening. You know, you can hear, but you may not be listening. And you may have been convinced and persuaded and even convicted, but you may choose to be dismissive. God gives us that freedom. Think about the military. You know, they've used this phrase, many are called and few are chosen, on billboards for the Marines. Why did they do that? Think about how being committed as a Marine or in any military service might mean giving up your life for another, even being a first responder. Wouldn't that choice be made with a sense of conviction? And what would that decision be based upon? Love for one's country? Probably having a good income from the government by having benefits in serving the armed forces? Maybe. And tell me, what would be the reason for serving? What might we say be at the heart of the motives in the relationship one has in submitting to an authority? And what would be their reason for obedience? We might also ask the question, why would military authorities choose someone out of many for specific tasks? And if military is a way that is beyond our comprehension about our life choices, let me ask you what might be closer to home. Why would corporate management be selective in the choice of a sales representative? Well, there is choosing a person that would represent the company and carry the name and reputation of the business, especially if it is a family business. But perhaps management wants a real worker, someone who doesn't slack off on the job, someone with a track record, someone who's honest and proven to be honest, who's good with people, a team player. You've heard of this. There is much to do and many job tasks to be fulfilled in being part of God's kingdom on earth. And there are those of you who are very willing, and some of you who are also selectively willing, and some who have open minds, while others may be very pessimistic, fearful, hesitant, or maybe even shy. As we conclude another year, it's my hope that all of us will afford ourselves the willingness to serve God through many opportunities that will be made known in the coming months, and most importantly by doing discover new bonds of fellowship as participants chosen for job tasks as partners in the shared service of our community. Christ is in our midst. So just to clarify what we're doing today, the bookstore will remain closed until after the meal. Assisting Bobby Monsoon now is Lola Pina. Is she here today? Okay. And so Bobby is getting some relief with her help. And then I will meet with the catechumens in the teen room since the teens are not having class. And that will be after the meal, God willing, after I do all that I have to do here, be able to sit down and get something into my stomach. You know, we do fast, by the way. Try doing that and serving 5 hours. You know, some of us also have asked me, Father, why do we have to say this long prayer before Holy Communion? Let me tell you why His Eminence has made that now our practice. And by the way, it's not new. It's called the unabridged prayer, which the Russian church uses. You know, the Russians do everything, which is why their services are twice as long as ours. Okay? And they don't do English and Slavonic to make it long. They just do everything. Okay? Some of you arrive, like some of you are arriving now, late, and want to come to communion. This is not a drive-up window. Some of you don't have a prayer rule to pray at home. Will it take you a lot of pain to say the whole pre-communion prayers? You know, His Eminence has made Saturday night a very solemn night, such that when we have conferences on Saturdays, he's in bed early and discourages haflis so that he can go and do the pre-communion canon, which is 10 times as long as the pre-communion prayer. So it's not just coming late to church, it's being in the right frame of mind and praying the prayers that actually heal our consciences, especially when, unlike the Russian church, we don't require confession before every Holy Communion. Christ is in our midst.